GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action. Live from the GMNA News Center, this is the Lunch Break News Hour.
Good afternoon, Montreal. Today we'll explore Polytechnique's breakthrough organic material set to supercharge photonic chips and the province's $425 million flood protection plan for homeowners. Expect moderate traffic snarls from STM strike cuts and road closures. Jeff, what do you make of that?
The Milan Street Fair opens this Friday, running through Sunday, offering more than 50 local vendors, live music stages, and a dedicated kids' craft area.
The fair will be centered on St. Laurent Boulevard between St. Denis and St. Viateur, with nightly performances starting at 6 p.m. each evening.
Entry is free and visitors can sample cuisine from 27 food trucks, including vegan poutine, maple glazed donuts, and locally brewed kombucha.
All right, let's get into it. First up, the latest on the photonic chip breakthrough from Polytechnique Montreal, followed by a look at the new flood protection funding. Here, what's shaping the day? A breakthrough in health research, a city council decision that could change traffic, and a story of hope from our community.
Today, researchers at Polytechnique Montreal announced the discovery of a novel organic compound that can significantly boost the performance of photonic chips. The team says the material enhances light-based signal processing without requiring major redesigns of existing manufacturing lines. By improving efficiency, the compound could reduce the energy needed by artificial intelligence hardware that relies on photonic technology. Photonic chips are already gaining traction as a low-power alternative to conventional silicon processors, and the new material aligns with the broader goal of cutting power demand in AI systems. The findings were presented in a university press release and are slated for peer-reviewed publication later this year. If the results translate to commercial production, manufacturers may see a path to greener, faster AI devices without overhauling current production facilities. The researchers also emphasized that the compound can be produced with standard chemical techniques, easing scale-up for manufacturers.
Quebec health officials say the province is moving fast to curb a growing health concern. Cardiologists have formally urged the government to ban the sale of energy drinks to anyone under 18, arguing the high caffeine and sugar content poses serious cardiovascular risks for young people. In response, the Premier's office announced today that consultations on Bill 9 are underway, with a target to finish the review by the end of the week. The proposed legislation would prohibit retailers from offering any energy drink product to minors, and would empower the health ministry to enforce penalties for violations. Stakeholders, including school boards and parent groups, have been invited to submit comments. If passed, Quebec would become the first jurisdiction in Canada to impose a blanket ban on these beverages for youth, signaling a decisive step toward protecting adolescent health.
Today, 12 municipalities and 9 environmental organizations sent a joint letter to Quebec's Environment Minister warning that provincial groundwater extraction is exceeding the natural rate of recharge. The signatories argue that current withdrawal levels threaten the province's water reserves, which supply drinking water and sustain agriculture across the region. The letter cites recent data showing that more water is being pumped from aquifers than can be naturally replenished each year. Officials were urged to reassess extraction policies and implement measures to align withdrawals with sustainable limits. The coalition emphasized that unchecked depletion could compromise both municipal supplies and farm irrigation in the coming years. Water tables across the province have already shown signs of stress, prompting concerns from both urban and rural stakeholders. The Environment Minister has been asked to report back with a plan to address the imbalance.
Quebec announced Tuesday a new flood prevention program that will channel $425 million in subsidies to homeowners whose properties sit in flood-prone zones. The funding, approved by the provincial government, is earmarked for equipment such as high-capacity pumps, removable flood barriers, and other mitigation tools. Eligible residents will be able to apply for the assistance through a streamlined online portal that opens this week, with allocations expected to begin distributing within the next 2 months. The initiative aims to reduce damage risk ahead of spring melt and heavy rain events that have increasingly threatened low-lying neighborhoods across the province. Officials said the program complements existing emergency response plans and reflects a broader strategy to protect private property while easing the fiscal burden on families facing potential water damage.
Yesterday, the Quebec Ministry of Environment climate change, wildlife and parks, together with Montreal health authorities, began the first large-scale raccoon rabies vaccination in the province in 20 years. Minister Marion Gagnier announced the rollout across the Montreal region, the area south of the island, as a direct response to a recent uptick in rabies incidents reported in the southern suburbs. The program will deploy bait containing vaccine to immunize wild raccoon populations throughout the region, aiming to curb further spread to humans and domestic animals. Officials said the effort follows a steady rise in confirmed cases over the past year, prompting health officials to act before the seasonal increase typical in spring. The initiative marks a coordinated public health response to protect both wildlife and residents in the affected communities.
We'll examine the Quebec Party's plan to pull the province out of the high-speed rail project, then back to news. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that brief break. Up next, Jeff Laflamme brings you the latest local stories from around town.
Quebec Party says it would pull province out of high-speed rail project. Quebec's Parti Québécois announced on June 9 that it intends to pull the province out of the federal Alto high-speed rail project. The party said its decision would remove Quebec from the national plan that includes stations in 4 Quebec cities. Party officials described the move as a response to concerns about the project's cost and impact on the province. The Alto initiative, a high-speed rail line under development, has been promoted by the federal government as a major transportation corridor linking major urban centers across Canada. If the Parti Québécois follows through, Quebec would no longer participate in the construction and operation of the rail line, and the federal plan would have to be revised to account for the province's withdrawal. The party did not specify a timetable for the withdrawal. The decision comes as the federal government continues to negotiate funding agreements with the provinces involved.
On June 9th, Sylvie Demours, the CAQ member representing Mirabel in the National Assembly, announced she will not run for another term. Her decision marks the first announced departure from the governing party's caucus, which currently holds roughly 30 seats in the provincial legislature. Demours, who has served the riding for a decade, said the choice reflects personal considerations and a desire to make way for fresh voices. Party leaders thanked her for her contributions and noted the upcoming need to select a new candidate for the next election. The announcement comes as the CAQ prepares its slate of candidates, with the vacancy adding a new variable to the party's strategy in the northern suburbs. Residents of Mirabel will see a by-law office transition as staff prepare for the upcoming campaign season, while local businesses watch closely for any shift in representation that could affect regional projects.
4 Montreal-born soccer players have earned spots on Canada's roster for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which the nation will co-host starting June 7. Nathan Saliba, a midfielder from the local academy, joins the squad alongside goalkeeper Maxime Crépeau, forward Matthew Choinière and winger Ismaël Koné. Their selection reflects the city's growing contribution to the national program, and each will travel to the tournament venues with the rest of the team. Saliba's recent performances in the domestic league caught the coach's eye, while Crépeau brings experience from his years between the posts. Choinière, known for his agility, and Koné, praised for his pace, round out the Montreal contingent. The tournament will be staged in venues across Canada, United States, and Mexico, marking the first time the event is held in 3 countries. Fans can expect to see these 4 athletes representing the country on the world stage later this summer.
2 vehicles were deliberately set ablaze in Rivière-des-Prairies on June 7th. Police responded after witnesses reported flames near a residential street. Officers from the Service de Police de la Ville de Montreal secured the scene, confirmed both cars were destroyed, and collected evidence. Investigators say the fire appears to be a criminal act and have opened an arson investigation. The suspects fled before police arrived. Detectives are reviewing surveillance footage and canvassing the neighborhood. Residents were asked to avoid the area while investigators worked. Fire crews arrived within minutes, battling the blaze for over half an hour before the vehicles were reduced to charred frames. The street was temporarily closed while investigators documented the site and photographed the damage. No injuries were reported among bystanders. Detectives continue to follow up on leads from nearby businesses.
Daily production of potable water in Montreal slipped by about 1% after officials issued a conservation request on June 5. The appeal came because a major water conduit showed signs of weakening, prompting the municipal utility to warn residents that the main was fragile. Despite the warning, the measured drop in output remained modest, indicating that household consumption barely changed. Engineers note that even a small reduction can ease pressure on the compromised pipe, but they also stress that continued overuse could force more drastic measures. City planners will monitor the flow closely in the coming weeks, looking for any further shifts that might signal the need for repairs or additional restrictions. For now, the slight dip marks the only tangible response to the call for lower water use.
Now for your afternoon outlook, let's see what the skies have in store.
A bright noon brings gentle sunshine across Montreal, perfect for a quick lunch break stroll. On this day, the city saw its all-time heat record of 29.9 degrees Celsius set back in 2021, during an early summer heat wave that pushed temperatures well above the usual June norms. The chilly counterpart came in 2016, when a sudden Arctic blast drove the mercury down to 7.9 degrees, a rare low for early summer. By comparison, the climate normals for early June hover around a high of 23 degrees and a low of 16 degrees, making both extremes stand out. Right now, it's a comfortable 21 degrees with clear skies and a gentle breeze from the southwest. Humidity sits around 70%, keeping the air a touch moist but pleasant. By noon, the temperature will climb to 24 degrees, still bright and cloudless. The sun will stay strong through the afternoon, pushing the UV index up to 8, so a hat or sunscreen is a smart choice if you're heading outdoors. Temperatures peak near 28 degrees mid-afternoon, before easing to 26 as the evening approaches. Winds remain light, topping out at 12 kilometers per hour from the southwest, and there are no weather alerts in effect. Sunset is expected around 8:41 this evening. Looking ahead, Wednesday will feel a bit cooler with a high of 28 degrees and a low of 17. Expect overcast skies and a 45% chance of rain, so a light jacket might be wise. Thursday stays mild at 27 degrees high and 20 low, but a drizzle is likely with a 30% probability, perfect for a coffee break under a shelter. Friday warms back up to 29 degrees, though a light rain shower could appear, giving the day a 40% chance of precipitation. Saturday brings a clear sky and comfortable highs of 26 degrees, making it ideal for outdoor plans. Finally, Sunday returns to overcast conditions, 26 degrees high, 17 low, and a 55% rain chance, so keep an umbrella handy.
Traffic's moderate with SDM strike cuts and road closures, and Hillary Knight joins Detroit's PWHL team. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Most drivers will feel the pinch at the Mercier Bridge. Both westbound and eastbound exits to Highway 20 are closed, forcing traffic onto downtown approaches and adding several minutes to the crossing. On Highway 20 East, a single lane remains shut between the Turcotte interchange and Montreal West, slowing the main commuter corridor. Southbound Highway 15 sees exit 60 shifted to Wellington Street for next 3 months, so drivers must follow new signage. Downtown, the Formula One weekend shuts Crescent Street from Ste. Catherine to de Maisonneuve, and de Maisonneuve is blocked between Bishop and de la Montagne. Hill Street is also closed from René Lévy Quai to de Maisonneuve, while St. Laurent between Shire-Arbrook and Mont-Royal is cordoned off for a mural festival. On transit, ongoing SDM strike limits bus and metro service to peak periods through June 12 to 17, so many routes run at reduced frequency. Expect longer travel times across the island and plan alternate routes where possible.
There are no verified listings available for today. And now here's Jason with sports.
Here's the latest on hockey moves and Montreal soccer venue plans. Sportsnet reports that star forward Hillary Knight is set to join the PWHL's new Detroit franchise via sign and trade, involving another prominent women's hockey player. A source familiar with the deal confirmed the move, marking a significant addition for Detroit's inaugural roster. CBC Sports Soccer notes MLS Commissioner's endorsement of renovating Olympic Stadium as a potential winter home for CF Montreal, pending upgrades. With the league shifting to a winter schedule beginning 2027, the stadium's $870 million roof project could make the venue viable for winter matches. On Monday, CBC Sports reported that veteran forward Brendan Gallagher, the longest-serving Montreal Canadian, announced he will move on from the franchise he has known his entire career. The emotional farewell signals the end of an era for the Habs.
La Nadia, the women's sports bar tucked in the heart of OshalaHga, is back open after a brief shutdown. The venue, celebrated for its women-focused concept and lively community events, is reopening its doors with a fresh lineup of local game nights, live music, and a menu that spotlights Quebec-grown craft beers. Owner Aisha Boushar says the space will once again serve as a safe, inclusive hub where fans can cheer together and neighbors can gather after work. Patrons can already feel the buzz as the first game screens flicker back to life. This revival not only energizes OshalaHga's nightlife, it reinforces Montreal's reputation for bold, community-driven hospitality. La Nadia reminds us that a city thrives when every voice finds its own cheering crowd. And now a feel-good look at Monterrey's first raccoon rabies vaccination in 20 years. Good news for wildlife and neighbors alike.
Coming up tonight at 6, the local sunset. Your neighborhood, your city, your news. From city hall decisions to the stories happening right on your street, we cover what matters most to Montrealers. Join us tonight at 6 p.m. on GMNA for the local sunset, Montreal's evening newscast.
The City Council's 22-5 vote cleared a $45 million plan for a bike lane corridor that could reshape downtown traffic and boost cyclist safety. We go live to St. Laurent Boulevard between Rue St. Denis and Rue Shai Arbrook, where the first lanes are slated to roll out. Carl Dumont is there. Carl Dumont.
Thanks, CJ Waterhouse. I'm standing on St. Laurent Boulevard between Rue St. Denis and Rue Shai Arbrook, where the city's newest bike lane plans are already shaping the street. The asphalt is freshly painted a bright teal, and temporary barriers line the curb, guiding a steady stream of cyclists past the cafes and office towers. Workers in high-visibility vests are installing concrete planters that will later hold the protective bollards. Above, a banner reads "Protected Bike Lane Coming Fall." City officials gathered this morning, their jackets flapping in the light wind, to celebrate a 22-5 council vote that approved a $45 million corridor as part of Montreal's climate action strategy. Residents watch from the sidewalk, some nodding as they recall rush-hour traffic snarls, while cyclists already test the provisional lane, feeling safer with the physical separation. This network promises to cut congestion, lower emissions, and give everyday commuters a safer route to work or school. A new lane today means a greener, more livable downtown tomorrow. Carl Dumont, virtually at St. Laurent Boulevard.
On a bright Saturday afternoon in the heart of Conoake, just across the river from downtown Montreal, police officers spotted a silver sedan roaring down the highway at an alarming pace. The driver was clocked at 217 kilometers per hour, far beyond the posted limit, and ignored an initial request to pull over. As the cruiser followed, the suspect weaved through traffic, turning the pursuit into a tense moment for commuters. When the chase led onto the reserve, local peacekeepers stepped forward, their calm presence a stark contrast to the roar of engines. Together, they guided the officers to a quiet parking lot where the car was finally stopped. The driver, humbled by the swift and respectful intervention, surrendered without incident. What stood out was the seamless teamwork between the Sûreté du Québec and the Conoake peacekeepers, a reminder that community bonds can diffuse even the most reckless situations. Residents later shared relief, noting how the cooperation kept their streets safe and their children's playgrounds undisturbed. It's a simple truth: when we work together, safety becomes a shared promise.
On a crisp Saturday morning on St. Laurent Boulevard, a fire engine rolled to a modest 3-story apartment building, its lights cutting through the early fog. Inside, a 77-year-old resident had slipped in the bathroom, and the scent of smoke lingered from a kitchen mishap, reminder that not every soufflé rises as planned. The crew that arrived, Captain Marie Tremblay and her 6-person team, moved with practiced calm, lowering a rescue harness and coaxing the woman onto a stretcher while a colleague tended the smoldering pot. That scene is one of more than 140,000 calls the Montreal Fire Department answered last year. The surge, officials say, reflects a city whose population is steadily aging, with chronic illnesses prompting more medical emergencies alongside the traditional fires and rescues. Each response, whether a frantic call for a heart attack or a simple lockout, adds a human thread to the fabric of the neighborhood. What makes the numbers matter is the quiet dedication that turns a statistic into a saved life, a relieved family, a community that can breathe a little easier. It's a reminder that behind every alarm is a team ready to answer.
Thanks for joining us, Montreal. It was great to see 4 of our own players earn spots on Canada's 2026 World Cup squad, an exciting moment for the city. We'll be back tomorrow with more stories that matter to you. Until then, stay safe and enjoy your evening.